The afternoon sun beat down hard on the Nevada desert. Miguel's truck, dust-streaked and humming low from the long drive, finally rumbled into the back lot of the warehouse. He pulled the brakes with a long hiss and stepped down, his boots crunching on the hot gravel. A man with a clipboard and a cigarette hanging from his lips didn't bother to look up. "What took you so long?" the man barked. Miguel wiped the sweat from his brow. Traffic out of Barstow was a mess. Got held up at the state line, too. "Yeah, well," the man muttered, scribbling something half-heartedly. "I got 4 other trucks to deal with before I even think about yours. You're gonna have to wait." Miguel's eyes flicked to the loading docks. Only one truck was there, half unloaded. "Listen, I'm hauling fragile electronics. They're time-stamped. If I don't— You think I care what you're hauling?" the man snapped, finally meeting his gaze. "You people always act like you're owed something. Just another wannabe hauling junk across state lines." Miguel stiffened. "You people." He swallowed the taste of heat and frustration. "Look, I'm not trying to start anything. Just trying to do my job and keep on schedule, man." "Schedule?" The man laughed, dry and sharp. "Your kind don't even show up on time and you're talking schedule?" Miguel didn't answer. He stepped back, clenched his jaw, and gave a small nod. "All right. I'll wait." "Damn right you will," the man muttered, turning his back. Miguel walked back to his rig and climbed into the cab. The air inside was stifling, the AC struggling to catch up. He sat in silence, staring at the warehouse wall. It's just another delay. You've been through worse. But this one stung. Not because of the waiting. He'd waited before. Waited in line, in offices, behind closed doors. What burned was the look in the man's eyes. The way he'd said "your kind," like Miguel was something scraped off his boot. The radio buzzed low with static, a Spanish ballad playing softly. Miguel reached over and turned it off. A soft knock on his window made him turn. A younger driver, probably mid-20s, leaned in. "They jerking you around too?" the kid asked. Miguel cracked a smile. "Something like that. He does this to all of us. Acts like he owns the damn desert." The kid looked around and lowered his voice. "You want me to say something? I got a cousin who works dispatch in LA. They hate this place too. Could file a complaint." Miguel shook his head. "Nah, that'll only make him stall me more. Ain't right, though." "No, it's not," Miguel said quietly. "But sometimes you gotta decide what's worth the fight." The kid stared at him for a second, then nodded. "You got more patience than me, man." Miguel gave a half smile. "I've had more years to practice." He watched the kid walk off toward his own truck. Then he leaned his head back, eyes closed. The heat, the dust, the words, all of it pressed heavy on his chest. 4 hours. That's what the man had said. Miguel could feel every minute stretching ahead like more desert road. Long, dry, and going nowhere. Miguel had been sitting in his truck for nearly an hour. The sun had shifted just enough to push a long line of shade across the back of the lot. He stepped down from the cab, stretching his back, feeling the heat cling to his shirt like wet cloth. In the far corner of the yard, a couple of drivers were struggling with a stack of broken pallets. They were arguing quietly, their movements tired, sluggish. Miguel walked over without saying a word. One of them, a gray-haired man with thick glasses, looked up, wiping sweat from his face. "You here to watch or help?" he asked, half joking, half annoyed. Miguel didn't smile. He bent down, picked up a crooked board, and started stacking. "Helping," he said simply. The other driver, maybe 30, tall and wiry, laughed. "Well, damn. We don't usually get volunteers around here." "You new?" Miguel shook his head. "Just stuck like the rest of you." The 3 of them worked in silence for a bit. Dust rose from the dry ground, sticking to their boots and hands. Sweat dripped off noses and foreheads, soaked collars and armpits. After a while, the old man grunted. "Name's Dale. Been hauling 26 years. Never seen a place run this backwards." Miguel nodded. "Miguel, Been driving 15. But yeah, this is bad. That asshole inside? Dale gestured toward the warehouse. Yeah, told me to wait 4 hours. Didn't even check my manifest. Figures. Same thing he told me this morning. My delivery was due at 8. It's almost 2 now. The young guy, Tanner, he introduced himself, chimed in. You know what's funny? We're doing his damn job, moving this junk around while he's in there smoking and yelling at dispatch. Miguel looked up at the warehouse doors. Still closed. Still no movement. He exhaled slowly. Sometimes folks like him, they push you, see how far you'll bend, try to make you small. Tanner frowned. So we just take it? Miguel looked at him, steady and calm. No, but sometimes you show who you are by how you act when they try to break you. Dale leaned on the pallet jack, breathing heavy. You some kind of preacher or what? Miguel finally smiled. No, just tired of being angry all the time. They worked another hour, clearing the space around the side dock. A few more drivers joined in, unasked. Someone brought bottled water from their cooler, passed them around. The atmosphere shifted, not cheerful, but steady. Men who had no reason to help each other, moving like a team. Nobody told them to. Nobody had to. At one point, Tanner looked over and asked, Why you even helping us, man? You don't owe any of us. Miguel paused, resting his hand on a crate. Maybe not. But I know what it feels like to be overlooked. I know what it means when someone shows up for you, even when they don't have to. Tanner blinked, nodded slowly. Respect. Over near the wall, a voice called out. One of the new drivers had spotted the warehouse manager watching from behind the glass door. He wasn't doing anything, just smoking, arms crossed, leaning back like he was bored with the world. Dale muttered, Look at that son of a bitch, watching us like we're ants in a jar. Miguel's jaw tightened. He didn't speak. He just went back to moving boxes. As the sun dipped lower, the lot looked different. Pallets were stacked. Trash was swept to the corners. The place had order again, something resembling dignity. Miguel wiped his hands on his jeans, took one long sip from his water bottle, then turned to look back at the warehouse office. The manager was gone. Just the faint scent of cigarette smoke left hanging in the air. The sun was dipping behind the warehouse roofs when the black SUV pulled into the lot, tires crunching slowly over gravel. Heads turned. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Miguel, kneeling by a stack of crates, squinted at the silhouette behind the windshield. Dale leaned closer and muttered, That's him, Donovan. The big man from Marshall Logistics. The door opened with a clean click. Out stepped a tall man in a sharp blazer and dark sunglasses. He looked more like a banker than someone in the freight business. He scanned the yard like a hawk eyeing disorder. Miguel stood, quiet, watching. Donovan walked toward the warehouse entrance but paused when he caught sight of the semi-organized pallets and tired drivers cleaning up around them. He looked puzzled. Who the hell cleared this yard? He asked aloud, not to anyone in particular. Nobody answered. He turned and saw the warehouse manager stepping out, fixing his shirt, cigarette still between fingers. Frank? Donovan called. What the hell's going on here? Why are there 4 trucks still waiting out here? Frank stammered. We're, processing them now, sir. One at a time. It's been a rough day. Rough day? You're overstaffed and underperforming. These shipments were log-delivered hours ago. Why haven't they been received? Frank glanced around nervously, sweat blooming under his armpits. Some of these guys showed up late, and, some weren't following unloading protocol, caused a jam. Miguel's hands clenched. Donovan narrowed his eyes. Is that true? Dale stepped forward. His voice wasn't loud, but it cut the air like a blade. He's lying. Frank turned. Excuse me? You heard me, Dale said, wiping his hands. I got here at 8 sharp. He told me to wait. Never looked at my papers. Just smoked, shouted, and ignored us. Tanner stepped up next. Same here. And Miguel, he pointed. He got here hours ago. You know what he's been doing this whole time? Helping all of us clean up your yard? Donovan's gaze turned to Miguel. Is that right? Miguel didn't move. Yes, sir. Why didn't you say anything earlier? Miguel shrugged slightly. Didn't think it'd matter. There was a long pause. Donovan took off his sunglasses. His eyes were sharp and calculating. Frank, is that camera inside the dock still recording? Frank hesitated. Yes, but good. Let's take a look. They walked off. The drivers stood in silence. A few exchanged glances, unsure of what came next. 5 minutes later, Donovan returned alone. His face was unreadable, but his steps were deliberate. He walked right up to Miguel. I watched the footage. Miguel nodded once. Donovan turned to face the group. I saw a manager ignoring arrivals, failing to process documents, and smoking inside a loading bay. I saw a driver, this man, doing the work of 3 people without being asked, without complaint. He turned back to Miguel. You got a full name? Miguel Santiago. Santiago. Donovan repeated it, then nodded. You're with West Corridor Division, right? Yes, sir. Not anymore. Miguel's chest tensed. Sir? Donovan smiled, but it wasn't mocking. It was respectful. You're with my direct supervision now. I want you as field supervisor for Southern Nevada. You start Monday. A few of the drivers clapped. Slow at first, then louder, more solid. Miguel stood frozen. I don't know what to say. Donovan reached out and shook his hand firmly. Say yes. We need more people like you. Miguel looked around. The pallets, the dust, the men who had just a moment ago been strangers. He nodded, eyes misting. Yes, I'll do it. The clapping died down slowly, replaced by a hush that felt thick with surprise and respect. Miguel was still standing where Donovan had left him, dust on his sleeves, boots scuffed, hands calloused from work. Dale walked over first. Well, supervisor, he said with a half smirk, guess you ain't one of us anymore. Miguel gave a tired smile. Still the same man who was unloading crates with you 20 minutes ago. Yeah. Dale nodded. And that's the difference. Tanner stepped in, clapping him on the back. Knew there was something about you, man. You carry yourself like you've been through fire already. Miguel chuckled, a little overwhelmed. Feels like I've been carrying the damn fire on my back some days. You earned it, Tanner said. Not 'cause you played the game, because you didn't. At that moment, Frank, the former warehouse manager, came out of the office, holding a cardboard box filled with personal junk, a cup, a half-empty pack of smokes, a clipboard, a photo frame turned face down. He glanced at Miguel as he walked past. No words, just a single, bitter nod. Miguel didn't gloat, didn't grin. He only watched the man disappear toward the parking lot like a chapter being turned. Later that evening, as the lot cleared and the sun bled into a deep orange over the Nevada horizon, Miguel sat on the bumper of his truck, drinking water and breathing it all in. Donovan approached again. No blazer now, sleeves rolled, tie loosened. Hell of a day, huh? Miguel exhaled. You could say that. You really didn't think stepping up like that would get noticed? No, Miguel replied. I didn't do it to get noticed. Donovan sat beside him on the bumper, nodding. That's exactly why you were. He pulled out a folded paper from his back pocket and handed it over. It was a formal offer. Field supervisor, Southern Nevada region, full benefits, and a decent raise. Take your time with it, but I hope you'll sign. We're trying to build something better. Less shouting, more listening. Miguel looked at the paper, then at the man. You don't know me. Not really. I know what I saw, and I know leadership when I see it. There was a pause. The wind carried dry desert air and the distant hum of trucks moving on the freeway. Can I still drive sometimes? Miguel asked, almost sheepishly. Donovan laughed. You can do whatever you damn want, long as the job gets done. Before leaving, Miguel walked the length of the dock one more time. The place had changed. Not physically, but something in the air felt different, like the tension had lifted, like the ground had stopped shifting under his feet. He passed by Tanner, who was locking up his trailer. "Hey, boss," Tanner said, half teasing. Miguel shook his head. "Don't call me that." "Not yet." Sure. Just remember us little guys when you're sitting behind a desk." "I won't be behind a desk," Miguel replied. "I'll be where the wheels are turning." Tanner grinned. "Good. 'Cause we need more folks like that." That night, Miguel parked his truck under the stars, away from the noise of the highway. He sat on the step, arms on his knees, watching the lights blink along the road in the distance. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel like he was just passing through. He felt seen, not as a driver, not as just another brown guy with a rig, but as someone who showed up, stood firm, and made it count. And that feeling, it was worth every mile. Monday morning came with quiet, desert stillness. The warehouse looked the same: corrugated metal, faded signs, the usual forklifts whining in the distance. But for Miguel, everything had shifted. He stood in front of the small office trailer, wearing a clean Marshall Logistics polo. The badge on his chest read, Miguel Santiago Field Supervisor, Southern Nevada. He ran a hand over it once like it might disappear. A soft knock on the door pulled him back. It creaked open, and a young driver poked his head in. Morning, sir. Got a question about the dock assignment." Miguel smiled. "Come in, and just call me Miguel, all right?" "No, sir, unless I'm wearing a tie, which won't happen." The driver grinned. "Cool." They went over the manifest together. Miguel pulled up a map, showed him the new drop-off lanes he'd helped plan. More efficient, more fair. No favorites, no stall tactics, just trucks, timing, and trust. Later that week, at the morning yard meeting, Miguel stood in front of 24 drivers. Sunlight poured across the asphalt. Some leaned on hoods, others sipped coffee from worn mugs. Miguel cleared his throat. "I'm not here to micromanage. I'm here to fix what's broken. That means you get respect when you show up. You get heard when there's a problem. And no one gets left waiting for hours without a reason." There were nods, murmurs. Someone in the back clapped once, then stopped, unsure. "Also," Miguel continued, "I still drive. So if I ever forget what it's like to be on the road, remind me." Loudly. That got a few laughs. The clapping returned, stronger now. Real. That afternoon, as Miguel walked through the lot, he passed Dale and Tanner, loading up a new shipment. "Supervisor," Dale greeted, mock formal. Miguel raised an eyebrow. "Still got that sarcasm, huh?" "Keeps me young." Tanner tossed Miguel a bottle of water. "Don't think we forgot what you did, man. Not just the cleanup. You made someone like us matter." Miguel caught the bottle, smiled. "You always mattered. Someone just needed to say it out loud." That night, under a sky full of stars, Miguel leaned against his truck one more time. Same wheels, same roads ahead. But now he wasn't just hauling cargo. He was carrying people with him. And they were all finally going somewhere worth arriving.